Welcome back to the channel. For those who have followed every emotional twist and turn in James and Diep's love story, today's episode marks a shocking turn. If you thought the storm had passed, prepare yourself. What started as an emotional reunion leads to betrayal, bloodshed, and the most profound question of all: can love truly conquer death? Just a few episodes ago, James and Diep found each other again, after the breakups, the misunderstandings, and the silences filled with unspoken words. With a tearful embrace, they held on to the fragile hope of a new beginning. But peace always has a way of bringing darkness. From the darkness, John appeared, a ghost from James' past, once defeated, now seething with hatred. And this time, John was not just seeking justice. He would take away everything James held dear. John's plan was extremely calculated: kidnap Diep, force James to sign over all his assets, and then kill him. Meanwhile, Tong, a man who once admired Diep, was exploited to become the so-called hero who would save her, win her heart, and erase James forever. But this was more than just a revenge plot, it was a twisted illusion covered in lies. While James tries to rebuild his life, John keeps a close watch. Diep's every move is followed, by strangers on motorbikes, by passers-by who don't seem like they should. Little does she know that danger is creeping closer. Then one quiet afternoon changes everything. Diep visits the small garden behind her house, her peaceful place. But that peace suddenly turns into a nightmare. Two masked men attack, gag her, and drag her into a trap John has set. That night, Tong is called to a dilapidated house on the edge of town. Inside, John waits with the calm of a madman. "Diep is in my hands," he says coldly, offering Tong an ironic chance. Rescue Diep, win her heart, but only if he helps kill James. But John doesn't know that Tong has changed. No longer the criminal John once knew, Tong secretly cooperates with the police, gathering evidence to destroy John's empire from within. The next day, Tong told James, Yi had been kidnapped. The demand? $100 million, and James's life. "He wants me to kill you," Tong confessed. James, unafraid, simply asked, "What are you going to do?" The answer was bold. James would walk into a trap, but with a tracking device. Once located, Tong and a team of special forces would move in. And if things went wrong? James had only one request: save Yi. "I don't care," Tong promised. Their eyes met, two men, once on opposing sides, now bound together by justice and love. James was given the coordinates: a forest outside the city. Arrived alone. No police. No tricks. If he didn't listen, Yi would die. He had sold everything. Every asset, every last bit of his wealth, was gone. Yi was priceless. He arrived at the appointed time. The woods were silent around him. The eyes following confirmed that he was alone. Then came the second location, an abandoned warehouse deep in the hills. John waited there, dressed in black as death itself. As James set the suitcase of money at his feet, John's laughter echoed in the darkness. Smart move, he smirked. The money was real, and so was the danger. Then Yi was taken out. Pale, weak, hard to stand, John nodded to the henchman. She collapsed. James rushed to her side. "You're here," she whispered. "I came to take you home," he replied, his voice trembling. And then, a flash of silver. A blade aimed straight at James. But Diep was faster. She screamed, lunged forward, and stabbed the knife into her shoulder. Blood stained the air. James caught her as she fell, screaming her name. Sirens blared. Flashlights blazed. Tong and the task force stormed the warehouse. "Drop your weapons," they shouted. Chaos erupted, gunfire, screams, bodies falling. John tried to run, but he had fallen into a trap set by the man he had once controlled. Tong had betrayed him long ago. John was captured, face down, defeated. His reign of terror was over. But James had no time to win. He cradled Diep in his arms, her blood soaking his shirt. "You'll be fine," she whispered weakly. "As long as I am alive." "No," James choked out. "You have to stay. I won't leave you again." Diep was in critical condition. The wound on her shoulder was very deep and she had lost a lot of blood. Although she had received first aid at the scene, her condition showed no signs of improvement. James held her tightly in his arms, tears rolling down his cheeks as he shouted amid the chaos. "Where is the ambulance? Call the doctor quickly." But he soon realized that time was the most precious thing. James carried Diep on his back and ran towards the car, his mouth continuously calling her name like a desperate prayer. "Diep, don't leave me, please. I can't sleep. I have to live." When they arrived at his estate, he immediately called the best private doctor, someone who had served his family for many years, not because he didn't trust the hospital but because he wanted to be with her every second and every minute without abandoning her even for a moment. The doctor arrived within an hour, carrying equipment, medicine, and, with a heavy worried look after a thorough examination, he sighed and shook his head. Collapsed and serious, her health was already fragile. The time of imprisonment had completely exhausted her, and now this wound was even deeper. She had lost too much blood, she had fallen into a deep coma. James held Diep's hand tightly, cold and pale. Would she survive? The doctor looked at him for a long time and then gently replied, "The possibility is very slim, but miracles still happen. It all depends on her will to live and love." That sentence was like a knife stabbing into James' chest. He bent down to hug her, his hands trembling as he gently stroked her hair. That girl, who had taken a fatal blow to him, now lay silently, hovering between life and death. James never left her side. He entered the hospital room, spoonfuls of porridge, pills prescribed. Preparing everything himself. Every morning, he sat beside her and read to her every night. Holding her hand and recounting every moment they shared as if she were still awake, still smiling. Still listening but deep in despair, nodding along with his every breath. "It was all my fault. If I had been earlier, if I had been stronger, you wouldn't have suffered like this," he whispered in her ear, broken by guilt. He kissed her cold, lifeless hand. More time, just one more time, so it could hold him back. Time passed, it lay still outside the night. Window, the gentle breeze rustled, the trees, the moon hung silently in the sky, emitting a pale light. James still sat with dark circles under his eyes, his hand never let go. It had been days since she had been in a coma. The doctor had shaken his head even. The nurses were starting to feel sad, but James never gave up hope. Not for a moment, not once did he let go of her hand. He leaned close and whispered like he did every night, "I am here, I've never left." You just need to open your eyes, just once, just a blink, and you'll believe miracles are real. The monitor kept beeping, her heartbeat was steady but weak, no change. James sighed softly, his eyes were heavy with sadness. He placed a light kiss on her forehead, then stood up and pulled the blanket over her, and at that moment, a small movement from the hand he was holding made James freeze. He quickly leaned down, that hand just gently squeezed his fingers. "I heard you say," my voice was shaking, choked. Throat, the heart monitor began to change, the heart rate fluctuated slightly. James' eyes were fixed on her face. Still closed, but a tear rolled down the corner of his eye. James felt like his heart had stopped beating. "Diep, are you awake?" "It's me. Am I fighting?" The screen flashed. Outside, the first rays of morning sunlight began to penetrate the night. The nightlife was returning, and a love that had never faded began to bloom again. Next episode, will Diep really awaken? After all, can James and Diep enter a new life together, or will fate decide? There are still many challenges waiting. Don't miss the next episode. A new chapter begins, full of hope. Tears and secrets have not been revealed. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any moments.